Okay, what we're going to do here is make a just a real simple kind of personal avatar. It's going to be kind of definitely a cartoon. It's not going to be too realistic. So I want to just kind of show you the down and dirty way of doing this. So I'm going to first off open a new document, and you can make it any size you really want, but obviously you want to go bigger than what your final output's going to be, rather than go smaller. So I'm going to assume that it's never going to be much more than a regular icon like on Facebook. So I'm just going to start with 600 pixels, and you can do whatever you want. Now I've also going to place a document, and I've already just done a real quick sketch of a pretty simple cartoon, pretty much based upon general geometric shapes. So circles and circles and circles pretty much. So when I go to file, place that, now it comes in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that, so I'm making sure that I'm not going to draw on that. And it's a place object anyway, so I probably can't do it anyway, but it's just kind of good practice to lock your layers that you don't want to draw on. And so what we're going to do here is make a new layer, and then I'm going to start off with just a face, and I'm going to assume that my sketch may not match up perfectly with a straight geometric shape, but that's okay. So I'm going to start off making an ellipse and get it somewhat close, but it may not be absolutely perfect. So a tool that you need to know is go to Select and Transform Selection, and I can kind of transform this, get it reasonably close. And since this is not a realistic drawing, it's not essential that I get it absolutely perfect. So I've got that. I can apply that transformation, and then what I want to do is I want to get some skin color, and I've got my swatches palette, and now I've got a bunch of different skin tones because I do a lot of digital painting, so I have lots of skin. But I'm just going to choose a one right here that's going to change my color picker over here, and then I can apply that fill by either going to the paint bucket tool, or I can do it quicker by Alt Backspace. Alt Backspace fills with the foreground color. So I've got that color, and I can hit Control D to deselect, or Select Deselect. So now I can't see any of the rest of my face, and while I'm still got this pink here, what I want to do is I want to do these ears here. So I'm going to make a new layer, and so if you're going to stay disciplined enough to make new layers, you're going to have a lot of flexibility. So I'm going to come in here and maybe move that, move that around, and I think that's okay. I could go and transform it again, but I'm not going to. And Alt Backspace fills again, and so I've got that ear. Now, if I want the kind of the asymmetry of a hand drawn, I could make a new one here, but what I'm going to do for speed is I'm going to copy this layer. I can either drag it down here into the new layer, or I can right click and go to duplicate layer. And there's my other ear, and I can go to the move tool and drag it over here, and I'm going reasonably quick. So while I'm still I don't have to do the neck right now because I think I'm going to make the neck a little different color so it differentiates between the face. So probably need to stay organized, and I'm going to say this is the left ear and his left, and this is the right ear. And I just did that by just clicking on the words itself, and I'll put, I'll put face there. Okay. So now, but I can't see my drawing, so what I need to do is I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to reduce the opacity just for a time so I can see what's going on now. It's going to look really strange, but I'm going to make a new layer now, so let's work on an eye. And I'm going to take the ellipse tool again, get kind of close. Maybe I need to adjust it a bit. So I'm going to go to Transform Selection and transform that just a bit. Hit OK, and then I want to fill it. Now, I've already got the white here. I could click on this little arrow to flip-flop the colors, or I can just do Control Backspace. So Alt Backspace fills with the foreground color, Control Backspace fills with the background color. So that might be a little quicker solution. So Now I can't see the irises and pupils, so I can again reduce my opacity, and I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can see it. And this is going to be eye, and make a new layer. And since this is a cartoon, I'm not going to make it a perfect circle, which it would be in real life, and let's make it a green or blue color. Let's just pick a nice deep green, and I'm going to Alt backspace again. Fills, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lower the opacity. Now you could have done this in the reverse order, but that's just kind of up to you. Now I'm going to make the pupil. And what I could have done also is there's all these different little solutions to speeding things up. Is I could have saved that selection so I had exactly the same size, then reloaded that selection, and then just transformed it to make it a little bit smaller. But now this is an important point here. I'm going to zoom in. Kind of see it's kind of jumping. Like I don't have the ability to maybe just move 1 or 2 pixels. So if that's the case, what we want to do is go to View and take Snap off, because Snap is, there's an underlying grid there that you can't see, and it's making it snap to that grid. So now I can use my arrow keys and I can move 1 pixel at a time. And so let's say that that's it. Now, the pupil placement is kind of interesting. You see some of these precious moments, and the pupils are way down here. They're not centered on the iris. That's going to be personal preference. So you're going to have to just play around with that. And that's based upon your research and looking at other cartoons. So I'm going to hit Alt backspace again. Now, in my experience, I think that a lot of times the eyes kind of look dead if you don't put a little reflection in there. So you can do that to varying degrees too, based upon your research. But I'm going to say that this is, let's label these real fast: the iris and pupil, and then this is going to be the reflection. And I'm going to take this and select, and I'm going to make this reasonably big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap the iris and the pupil. It just seems like it makes a just more of a natural looking eye. And then Alt backspace again. Whoops. And Alt backspace was the foreground color. We want to do Control backspace. And so we have this little reflection. Now sometimes you can make a secondary reflection down here, but I generally make this like at the 1 o'clock position, and if I'm going to make a secondary one, I'm going to make it at the 7 o'clock position. I don't put it straight above like at the 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and it just seems like it looks more natural. Now, what I do want to do is always keep this reflection consistent. So when I move this over here, I don't want to make it the opposite. I don't want to make it the mirror reflection. I want it to be an exact copy. So I'm going to go back here now and make sure that all my opacity is at 100%. See how it looks. Maybe I can turn my face back up for just a minute just for see how. And I think I'm reasonably satisfied with that. So what I need to do is another skill here is I'm going to hold Shift down, or I can hold Control down and click. Shift is a nice way to select multiple layers. If I just select the first and the last, and then it selects every layer in between. If I hold the Control down, then I can deselect or reselect, especially if I have to jump over one. But you can use either method. But what I want to do now is I could do a couple different things. Probably the best thing to do is to either group it, where I can use a chain link, or I could put it in a folder, or I could flatten it. So what I'm going to do for speed, you could go and make a folder, and that way you'd maintain all these layers that you could manipulate later. But I'm just going Since this is a quick tutorial, I'm going to go to Layer and Merge Layers. Now, Merge Layers is going to merge anything that I have selected. Merge Visible is going to merge anything that I have turned on, and Flatten Image, even if I have something turned on, it's going to flatten it. So I don't want to do those choices. I want to go to Merge Layers. And so now this is my eye layer now. It's not my reflection anymore. And I can duplicate this layer by right-clicking again. And now I take the Move tool, and I'll just bop this over here. All right. Now, in the next section, what we're going to do is use the pen tool. So that got through a lot of the basics. I could maybe make a basic round nose in a different color, but now I've got all this line work here that I need to mess around with. Before I do that, I'm going to bump this back up for half a second. And since the ears and the face are all together, I'm going to go ahead and merge those layers as well. So hold Control down and select that and go to Layer and Merge Layers. So now I have that. I'm kind of consolidating all of my layers.